Okay, so today what I want you guys to have is a clean blank slate. Don't try to play catch up. Once again, I keep repeating that because I feel like some people are still, with their creative ball bounds, trying to cram something right now. I'm not even going to show you what to play blast it. Today's lesson is going to seem rather easy. However, it's practice, and it'll be done today or within the first 10 minutes of tomorrow. But this is kind of an introduction because what we're going to do next is the TIE Fighter. And what we're going to do that is you're going to choose your object. So please bear with me if you feel like this lesson's easy because it's going to get a lot harder soon. So I want to make sure I get all the nuances of all these new complex modeling tools and techniques down, that you have a chance to play with them. And I can go over all the different issues with them before we start messing with the other stuff. So if you don't have Maya open, get Maya open. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll have 7 shapes on our screen. Don't make all of them right now. Right now, I want you to make 3 spheres. Make 3 spheres, and we're going to be going over some basics with faces, edges, and vertexes. If you played with this yesterday, you got a little practice with this on Friday, just because it was the minimum day. But this is what we're going to be doing with. Basically, we're still working with 3s, right? Maya works in the XYZ dimension, right? We have move, scale, rotate. That's 3. Maya has 3 modes for you to play with, right? So face, edge, and vertex, right? So we're going to be playing with those. Some of you have stumbled across these already. So, very easy. Darren, whisper. It's okay. You don't have to be sorry. You're always talking about Maya stuff. So you don't have to be sorry. I'll just keep reminding you. All right. So I'm going to go to create. Make sure you hit polygon. Make sure you hit polygon. So create polygon primitives sphere. I'm sorry, what? You could. We're about to, the next set, we're going to play with these option boxes. And so I want to get you in the habit of going here because most of the time you're actually going to modify the options. So we'll be playing with those in a second. So I'm going to create sphere 1, and I can create it again, or I can just duplicate the one I have so that I have 3 spheres. And they don't have to be anything special. It's just going to be 3 spheres. Give them a little bit of a space. Okay. We are going to play with the different modes, and I'm going to show you some selection tricks. Okay? All right. So, do we all have 3 spheres? Yes? No? Class, do we all have 3 spheres? Yes. Oh, thank you. Good. Let's call it shape destroy. So it's just going to do the save as, file, save scene as. And let's go here and just call it shape destroy. And again, I'm saving it to my desktop. Don't worry, we'll clean up our desktop soon. You keep saying that, G. Don't worry. We'll clean it up the next minimum day. That's our minimum day activity, next minimum day. Shape destroy. That doesn't really matter what you call it because we'll be play blasting it. You're going to turn in a play blast. So even though this is like a learning lesson, you're going to prove that you followed along by turning this in. So I have a special way of you guys turning this in. Okay. Shape destroy. 3 modes, and so we're going to play with 3 spheres. Each sphere is going to be playing with a different mode: face, edge, and vertex. So let's do the first one. Pick a circle, any circle, don't matter. Right? I like what someone just did. They lifted it off the ground a little bit. That's fine. There you go. All right. So if you right-click, that's the click on the right-hand side on one of your objects, and hold it, you'll notice you get lots of different things: edges, vertexes, faces. So you want to hold the right click and choose face. In the face. In the face. Okay? Right click, hold face. So now you'll notice it turns blue, right? And it kind of highlights every other face I'm looking at. So what I can do now is I can click on one face, that face then becomes orange, and I get the move tool. Or if I didn't press W, press W. So select one face, press W. And look what I can do. I pull it out. And so I can manipulate one face on this sphere. Now, it looks okay in one mode. Don't forget you have 3 mode. I don't know if I showed you 3 mode. So right now we're in 1 mode, or 1 is called rigid. And then there's also 3. So if you press the number 3, you get smooth mode. And people kind of go, ooh, smooth. So you have 1 mode, which is called rigid body. And then you have 3 mode, which is smooth. 2 is both. Don't worry about 2. Just do 1 and 3. If you accidentally hit 4, 4 is wireframe. To get back off of wireframe, hit 5. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same combination on my luggage. Anyone know the movie? It's that old. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. The classics are still alive. All right. So I don't necessarily have to move it. I could also scale it. So I can hit R. I can scale my face big. And if I hit 3 mode, right? I can also rotate. E. I can rotate and twist, right? And I get different looks. Now, you're supposed to make this thing look ugly, right? So can we do more than one face? Yes, class. If you hold down the shift key, by the way, that symbol is the symbol for the shift key. If I hold down the shift key, I can select multiple faces at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? By holding down the shift key, I can select multiple, and now I can pull out a chunk of it. But wait, there's more, and I can shrink that even. You can also push it in. You don't have to pull it out, you can push it in, right? If I push this in a little bit more, push it over here a little bit, and then I can get it to start talking, right? Right? I can do all sorts of stuff. But wait, there's more. Someone asked it. Why can't I just drag a mouse over here? Oops, sorry. Why can't I just drag select like that? Because it might select through it. So class, another new thing I'm going to show you is your arrow is not just an arrow, it's a selection tool. Does everyone under? So remember we have W-E-R. How do I get back to my arrow? What's the button for my arrow? Who remembers? If I have W-E-R, Q. Thank you. So I got back to my Q. However, double click on your arrow here. Double click right here. Everyone double click right here. Double check your neighbor that they've double clicked. I'm going to make my whole screen orange until you see it. Double click the arrow. Double click the arrow. Double click the arrow. You get some settings here. And the setting that you're most going to turn on and turn off is called camera-based selection. Some of you might ask, which is better? You want to use some at different points in time. So marquee, I'm going to turn on camera-based selection now. And what that does is when I drag a marquee like that, they call that a marquee selection box, it doesn't drag through it now. In other words, if I check this off, if camera-based selection is turned off, it treats your object like a wireframe. So when I drag to select faces, it selects the faces on the opposite side, right? So once again, very crucial. Double click on that arrow, turn on or off camera-based selection. Okay? Right now I'm going to leave it on, but you can turn it off. We're going to turn it on and off for our next slide. Every once in a while, some of you have accidentally stumbled across this, which is, let me go back to 5 mode, sorry, go here, go face. Some of you have come across this, B mode. If it gets super yellow like this is called soft selection. To turn it off, press B, but it's also, the option for it is right here under soft selection. And we'll play with this later. There's going to be some reasons why we want to use that later. But that's what that is. But for right now, double click on your arrow, right? And check camera base selection on. And that way, when I drag a box, I only get what I see instead of just selecting through it, and I can just kind of make these things. Now, our whole point is to make this look ugly. All right. Oh, one more selection trick. So we have a couple ways of selecting faces. We can select one face. We can drag a box and select multiple faces. We can also hold down the shift key and select by just clicking on random faces. But you can also do this. Let me do this. If I click on one face, hold the shift key, double click the one right next to it, look what happens. What happened? It gets the whole circle, right? It won't work on the tippy top because those are triangles, or what we like to call tris. It'll only work on quadrilaterals, or what we like to call quads. So if I click on one face, shift select the one immediately next to it, it gets me the whole ring. And like I can expand them out. I can do stuff. Now he's got like a little hat. The other shift select trick is, let's say I wanted to get a row. I can click here, hold the shift key down, double click here, and it selects that section. So if I double click the one right next to it, it gives me a ring. If I spread it out, it goes to the next one. This also works vertically. Let me just shrink this guy down. Let me mess this guy up a little bit. There you go. So I can also do vertically. Here, shift, double click, it gives me that selection there. All helpful tricks. So now I give him a fin, right? There you go. If your sphere looks screwed up, you've done a wonderful job. That was face mode. I just threw a lot at you. Don't worry, a lot of that's going to get repeated. But just to kind of review, you can move, scale, and rotate any face, right? The important one to remember is double click or check on camera base selection. I just threw a bunch of modes at you. One versus 3, right? So 1 is rigid body, and that's actually the true shape of it, and then 3 is kind of an illusion. It kind of gives you a hint as what it would look like if you smooth it out. Video games are always in one mode, but sometimes it looks so smooth. They do tricks. But 1 is always the true shape of it. 3 is kind of an illusion. You don't have to worry about that until later. 4 is wireframe. 5 is gray. And I gave you a whole bunch of shift select techniques that we're going to review with the edge. Let's go to edge. So let's go to the next sphere. So you messed up 1. That's your face sphere. If you got lost, don't sweat it. Make another sphere if you haven't. And follow along with the edge. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing, but with edges. So if I right click, I can go to edge mode. And this time, instead of selecting a face, it gives me the lines. So edges are line segments. If you want to talk geometry or algebra and bring this back to your math class, right? An edge is a line segment. A line segment, right, is 2 points, which are vertices, which we're going to get to next. So once again, I can select one edge, and I can move, scale, and rotate that one edge. Move. So go ahead and do that. Select one edge, any edge. Vertical or horizontal. Select and rotate it. So I'm going to take an edge, took a vertical one this time. Boop, right? And I don't care if you're working in 3 or 1 or 3, either way. Whatever looks cool. There you go. Remember, you don't have to pull them out. You can also push them in. Kind of made an eye socket or something like that right there. And the same tricks apply for shift select. Actually, you get a bonus one. Oh, that's a pretty good ghost, right? So with edge, we'll go to edge now. With edge, right click, go to edge on a new sphere. New sphere, go to edge. If you just double click one edge, what happens? It does what? You get the whole ring. And now I can kind of, now he's got an itty bitty waist with a round thing in your face. You get, sorry. No? What happens if you click a vertical edge? Does it go all the way around? Click a vertical, double click a vertical edge. Someone tell me if it goes all the way around. Does it? Yay or nay? What was it? Jesus, did you say something? Double click on a vertical edge. Does it go up or does it go all the way around? No. It stops right here. And when we get to modeling, I'm going to be like, avoid using triangles just for this reason, right? When you have all quads, you can do a lot more selection tricks. This is one of the reasons why you want to avoid triangles, right? So I can give him like a little mohawk or something right here. If I double click one vertical line, I can do that. The same rules apply for dragging a box. You have camera-based selection or not camera-based selection, right? You also have shift select, double click. I get a portion of that edge selection, and that's basically edges. Pretty sweet, huh? You can do all sorts of stuff. So if your spheres are not looking like spheres anymore, you're doing a great job. Remember, the name of the project is called Shape Destroy. So as long as these things start looking ugly, you're doing it right. If they still look like spheres, mess them up. Okay. Last one for the spheres. Last one. Let's take this guy and let's play with vertexes. Right click, vertex. Boom. And vertexes are single points. Class, are you like me and you have bad eyesight and you don't like seeing these teeny tiny little points? These teeny little tiny points are hard to see. If you're like me and want to enlarge those points so they just look bigger, you can go up here to display polygon vertex size. And I can make them bigger. Now you're not making them bigger, you're making the appearance of them bigger. Now I got big old vertexes. They're still very, very infinitesimally small. They're just a point on a grid. But again, I can move and scale and rotate vertexes. Now some of you might have chosen one vertex and you're like, I can't scale or rotate it. Well, a vertex is a point and a point is infinitesimally small. But if you had two vertexes or multiple vertexes, you could rotate them. You could scale them. You can do all sorts of stuff with them. And the selection tricks are still the same. So if I shift select the one right next to it, I get the entire ring. If I grab a portion of it, right, I'll get this weird like plot graph. And if I shift select here and then double click to that, I can get, just like edges, I can do that trick too. So two vertices act like a what, class? If I select two vertexes, it's basically the same thing as selecting a what? A what? An edge. Yes, it is a line segment, but Maya uses the word edge, so we use edge. If I grab four vertices, what do four vertices look like, essentially? A face. In the face. Right? I don't know why. I saw that movie recently. I forget why. It was just on TV and I think I got sucked in. You ever get sucked into movies? You didn't want to watch a movie and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm watching that movie. All right. So we're going to make this look ugly with some vertices. So class, what I want you to do now is I want you to take these three spheres. I know some of you are actually trying to make something. Great. Save that energy for your own object. Slide that over here. Get them out of the way a little bit. Okay. We're going to practice now, instead of doing the basic modes, now we're going to do stuff where you actually add geometry. Now, I keep using that term geometry, and I don't mean your math subject. When I click on a mesh is basically an object. Why don't they call it other stuff? Well, because eventually, like, that's no longer a sphere. What do you call that? So they call that your geometry, or they call that the mesh, right? And if I hit 4, right, that's the reason why they kind of call it a mesh, because it's like a web or a net. It's also geometry because it's just a bunch of vertexes, rows, and line segments all kind of adding together into a shape. So we haven't added geometry to it. We haven't added anything to it. We've just pushed and pulled it like a piece of clay. The next 3 things I'm going to show you add stuff to them. It adds more things. It adds more faces, edges, and vertexes. Okay? And this also shows us the option box when it comes to our shapes. So Daniel was asking, why don't we just press these buttons here, right, when making stuff? It's because I wanted you to get in the habit because we have these option boxes. So everyone, go to Create. Go to Polygon Primitive. Go to Cube, but hit the box next to it, just like with Playblast. So go to Cube and hit the option box. I'm going to leave it up there for a little bit. Actually, I'll even zoom in a little bit. So hit the cube option box. And that little box right next to it. So you notice every shape has its own box. And these are basically settings you can use. So I'm going to click on that box. And now I have width, height, depth. That's the actual size of them. I want to keep those 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Right? However, width divisions, height divisions, and depth divisions. So if I were to make the box right now, it only has one face on each side, and I think there's 12 vertices, or 12 edges and 18 vertices. I forget the count. I used to have those numbers memorized. So what I want to do is I want to do width divisions 3, height divisions 3, depth divisions 3. Easy. Just go 3, 3, 3. So 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3. 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3. Oops, I didn't do 3, 4. Now, there are other things you can do. Don't worry about them right now. You can start to figure those out. But width, height, and depth divisions, 3, 3, 3. All of them, make sure they're all 3. And then you can hit Create. And just, I'm keeping my old box up there so you can see the difference, right? So you'll notice, by doing 3, 3, 3, instead of having a blank slate or blank faces, I now have a tic-tac-toe grid. Does anyone need to see that again? Because we're going to need that tic-tac-toe grid. We all got it? Nope. Right. So do that. And then you're going to go to Create. You go to Polygon. Cube Options. That box. There we go. And then right here, 3, 3, 3. Perfect. All right. So some of you are like, oh, okay, I know what he's going to have us do. We're going to go and we're going to mess with the faces. All right. So if you go and mess with a face right now, and you wanted to give this guy, let's pretend this is Boxman. And so he needs arms, and he needs legs, and he needs eyes, and he needs a mouth, and he needs a nose, right? So if I grab this center face here and pull it out, hey, I want to make an arm. Does my arm look like that? No, my arm looks like something shooting out of it. So, everyone, grab a center face. I don't care which one. Just grab a center face. So go to face mode, right-click and hold, go to face. Grab that center face. And now we're going to go to Edit Mesh, and we're going to find the word Extrude. And this is going to be our best friend. There's a hotkey, Command E. So I'm going to hit Extrude. Extrude. So I'm going to hit Extrude. Go for it, okay? Now when I hit Extrude, I get a slightly different tool. Notice it has the box for scale, it has the arrow for moving, and it has this ring around it, and that's rotating. So what I can do now is I can grab that blue arrow, or whatever arrow it is, and I can pull it out. Do you guys see the difference? Let Oops, let me get out of my little zoomy thing in here, right? So this is actually how you make limbs in extra extrusion. So what I just did there was I added a bunch of faces to pull this out. I could also scale it as I'm extruding if I wanted to. I could also rotate it so I could grab this wheel. If I click on this wheel here, it gives me a red, blue, and green wheel, and then I can rotate it. So hit Command E, or go to Edit Mesh, Extrude. Sorry, Extrude. And guess what? I can do it again. So I'm going to Edit Mesh, Extrude. So extrude multiple times. Boop. And now, that's starting to look like an arm. A very fat, pathetic arm, but it's still an arm nonetheless. Right? I'm going to repeat it on the other side. So I click the center one. Can I do two faces, Mr. G? Oh, I'll do that for the leg. Let me do the arm first here. I'm going to hit Extrude, Command E. Notice I didn't even go up to Edit Mesh. I just hit Command E. And now, Command E for Eric. Command E for Eric. Command D is duplicate. Good clarification. And then Command E for extrude. And now he's got two arms. Can I extrude multiple faces? Yes! So I'm going to give him legs. So I'm just going to grab 1, 2, 3 by holding the shift select, right? I held down shift select, 1, 2, 3, and now I hit Command E, boop, leg. I can do two at a time. Let me undo that. Shift 1, 2, 3. What? I got two rows like that? Command E. Ooh, look at that, right? I rotate. So on the face right here. So how do you bend the arm? Grab the face, give it a rotation, and then extrude again. So this arm here is 1, 2, 3 extrusions. Yeah. There you go. Command E again. Mo, you're going to miss a lot. Just want to give you a heads up. We got a lot to cover. You can go if you got to go. You're just going to miss a lot. Yeah. So I give them legs. What about eye sockets? Guess what? You can extrude inward. So I'm going to give him a little nose. I'll give him a nose first. Command E. I'll give him the nose first. Shrink it down. And you can make your guy look whatever you want. I'm just kind of... And then I'm going to give him two eye sockets. 1, 2. Command E. I don't have to extrude outward. I can extrude inward. What? And the 3 mode. Can I do multiple faces? You bet I can. I'm going to give him a mouth. Command E. There you go. Oops, I forgot to push it in. 1, 2, 3. If you don't have to make Boxman. Do I want to give Boxman feet? I could. 1, 2, Command E. Now he's got feet. Do I want to give him a thumb? Sure. Command E. So you're getting the idea, right? I can really start to kind of model out something with Command E. There, he's got a thumb on this hand. Did you just make some weird... Do you want to give him a horn? Let's make Boxman a unicorn. Command E. Now he's a unicorn. Unicorn. If you've got some extrusions coming out, congratulations, you've done it right. Don't worry. So Command E or extrusion is our bread and butter. We're going to be doing a lot of extrusions. All right, when that one's all done, let's move on to the next one. And I'm going fast because this is just meant to kind of be an introduction. So that's extrusions. Let's go to the next one. Edge loops. So this time, let's go to cylinder and options for cylinder. All right, so be done extruding. It's okay if you didn't make a man. Don't worry about it. If you have one extrusion on it, you're getting credit for it. Let's go to create, polygon primitives, cylinder options. So let's go to create. Go ahead and get out of it. Get out of your, take your extrusion, go back to object mode, shove it off to the side. I know, I just blew everyone's mind and you just want to extrude forever. We're gonna move on. Don't worry, we're gonna go back to a lot of extruding. You're gonna extrude so much you're gonna puke, right? You'll be fine with it. So you're gonna go create, polygon, cylinder options, and let's do this for a cylinder. So let's do this. Create, polygon trim, cylinder option box. Oops. And the axis division is really high. 20, that's a lot of cuts. Let's go like 6, let's go 8. Let's go 8. I was going to say 6, let's go 8. The radius is 1, the height is 2. Let's change that to, let's make the height 4 and the radius 0.5. What? Now, with radius and height, and if there's depth involved, you can do that with scale. You don't have to do that with these tools, but divisions adds geometry. So let me just kind of show you. I'm going to go back to 20 here. Here is our cylinder with 20, and then I'm going to make another one with 8. All right? So just so you can see. Make the one with 8. So you can see the cylinder with 20 looks much smoother in one mode. However, in 3 mode, they look virtually the same. Right? Actually, this one looks a little smoother because I don't have these like ridges and lines here. So once again, I'm going to delete both of these. Go to cylinder, create, polygon primitive, cylinder options. And we're going to want to make the radius 0.5, the height 4. If you don't do that, you can always change it later with scale. Your scale tool. But axis divisions, you're not going to be able to change, or you can, it just gets complicated. So make sure it's 8. Height divisions, we're going to leave it 1. Cap divisions, leave it 1. And hit create. Just so you have a few less. Okay. Now let's pretend I made cube man. Let's say I want to make cylinder man. So I want to extrude out a face here, and I want to give him an arm. Or let's say I want to make a tree. Okay? So let's say I wanted to make a tree and a branch, and this is my cylinder that I'm working with. Can anyone anticipate the problem? I want to make a branch jut out, but what's my problem right now? Can anyone guess? If you can't guess, that's fine. We're all very new here, right? Look at my face. Look how big that face is, right? When I extrude out, Command E, that face is going to be that big. That's not what I want. I want a branch. I don't want like a wall. I want a branch. And that's where this next tool comes in handy. Okay? So the next tool we're going to play with is edge loops. And just to mess with you, it's not in the same place. So we have edit mesh. We also have mesh tools. So I have 2 spots. We're going to be playing with a lot of them. And I know it's very confusing because they have mesh, edit mesh, and mesh tools, and mesh display. They have 4 titles up here with mesh. Which, when you're just learning it, you're like, wait, which mesh? I get it. I get it that it's confusing, which is why I'm going really slow. Right? So I'm going to go to mesh tools here. Mesh tools. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to choose edge loop. Insert edge loop. My bad. They used to just call it edge loop. Now they call it insert edge loop. So choose insert edge loop. Now the way insert edge loop works is, some of you are going to be clicking right here, and you're like, it's not working. It's not working. You have to click on an edge, and edge loop cuts it perpendicularly. So if I click on an edge, notice it makes a ring of edges perpendicular to the edge I clicked on. So once again, I'm just going to click off it. There you go. So when I click up here, and I know it's hard to see that orange line, but if I click on any edge, so if I click in the middle, it's not going to work, right? But if I click on the edge there, and if I hold it, if I left click and hold it, I can kind of adjust the height. So make 2 edge loops. So once again, you're going to go to Mesh Tools, insert edge loop, and you're going to cut and drag it where you find it appropriate. If you want to do more, that's fine. Maybe one more. Yeah. In the center of it, like a portion of it. We'll get there. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Short answer, yes. Long answer, we're almost there. All right. Oops, I almost forgot something. So don't forget, you're still in edge loop mode. You're not in your arrow mode. So once you've made 2 or 3 edge loops, right? Then make sure you go back to your arrow by pressing Q or clicking up here to arrow. Otherwise, you're going to be perpetually in edge loop mode. So now I can make branches. So now I can go to face here, and now I could Command E and add some. Now I can pull out just a portion. That's way better than what I was doing before, which was this, right? That was my before my edge loop solution. This is my after edge loop solution. Looks way better, right? I can continue to do edge loops. Mesh Tools, insert edge loop. I can make an edge loop on another cut like that. And then I can add some faces here. Check that out. Whoop, forgot to hit Command E. So you can keep cutting things with edge loops and adding stuff up. I can make another extrusion. If I wanted to make a really, really tiny thing there, I can go here to edge loop. Unfortunately, edge loop doesn't have a hotkey. I'm going to make an edge loop here, an edge loop here. So I'm making a really tiny cross section. And that's an itty bitty face right there. Oh, sorry. And then I'm going to hit Command E, and now I have a little tiny branch. So edge loops is a way of cutting stuff, and then you can extrude out smaller faces. Now just go back to the face loop. And you can select any of those faces now and extrude out. Okay. Maybe. Try if you want. You might to experiment. Okay. I'm going to rush us through the last one. The last one is a pyramid. So once again, if you've got a branch and a branch comes out of the branch, you've done your work. Good job. Slide it over to the side. Last thing, okay? So I'm going to go over here to create. I'm going to go to polygon primitive, and I'm going to go to pyramid. Pyramid. Okay. Now with this pyramid here, I'm going to lift it up a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to see. More room to play with. All right, all that stuff. All right. So I showed you extrude, and that was pulling stuff out or in. And then I showed you edge loop, which let you cut things in a very linear but very easy fashion. And then I was showing you multi-cut, or the multi-cut tool, right? So with my pyramid selected, I'm going to go up here and choose. So let's say I wanted to make like a door. Let's say like this is King Tut's pyramid, or whatever pyramid it is, right? And I want to make a little door, but halfway up here, okay? And if I went to edge loops, this is where we left off. I went to insert edge loop, and it doesn't make a ring around the entire pyramid. Okay? That's a problem. It's an issue. Okay? Because we want to cut it, but edge loop's not going to do it now. Edge loop's not going to cut it. So, thank you. Thank you. You all get A pluses today. Good. So you're going to go to Mesh Tools, and we're going to use Multi-Cut. And there's a couple things you can do. I can click and hold and make a percentage, and I can kind of manually make my own edge loop. And I forgot to show you something after doing that. So I'm going to click and hold on an edge, and just kind of make a 50%, and this lets me cut 50%-ish cut, and then, I'm going to click once, and then I hold Alt, and I kind of twist it around, Alt left click, and then one more. And then the last one, it never likes to complete, so I hit Enter, and that kind of finishes it, and then I'm going to hit G to repeat, or I can go back to Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut. Let me do one more. I'm going to start you right here. Oop, what happened? Come on, Multi-Cut. There you go. Start there, and go to right there. Boom. All right. So that's one thing you do. The one thing, because I was rushing, I forgot to show you. Now I have, what shape is this face class? Triangle. And triangles are bad. Why are triangles bad? Why were the triangles not doing good? It has 3 sides, and that's a problem because we can't use what tool? Good try. What tool can't we use with a triangle? What tool was I just showing before Multi-Cut? Edgeloop, right? So look what I did, right? I made that manual one, so I can't use an edge loop on a triangle. However, I can use the edge loop down here. And the reason why you want to, why don't we just always use Multi-Cut? Is because Multi-Cut can lead to problems, right? Triangles are bad, and then anything more than a quad winds up being problematic too. If I had a pentagon, a hexagon, a heptagon, an octagon, whatever I want, right? If I have one of those shapes, again, the edge loop's not going to work. My selection tools aren't going to work. Quads are where it's at. You want to keep everything in quadrilaterals, whether it's a trapezoid, square, rhombus, whatever, right? You want to keep everything with quads. So, but the other thing you could do with Multi-Cut is if you wanted to cut some weird shapes. So if I want to go to Multi-Tool here and go back to Multi-Cut, I could also use Multi-Cut to go hog wild, right? Bam, bam. I can cut in the middle of faces like that, hit Enter when I'm done, and now I have this weird shaped face. This is a very, oops. There you go. This is a very bad practice to have these weird non-quadrilateral shapes. But if you're desperate and need to cut something, you can do it. Now, what can I do with this face? What's the other trick we learned from yesterday? Extrude. So here's what I want you to do. Go nuts on the pyramid with Multi-Cut. Go nuts. Dylan, come on. I'm recording this. Multi-Cut. So I'm just going to boop, 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 boop. Hit Enter when I'm done. Oops. Oh, you have to finish on an edge. Sorry. Multi-Cut has to start on an edge, and it has to finish on an edge. Okay? So go a little crazy. And then, with your other tips, tricks that you learned, extrude, edge mode, face mode, whatever. So I'm going to go to face, and maybe I'll make this a doorway. So I'm going to go to back here and choose Edit Mesh, and choose Extrude. Where's Extrude? Boom. Or I can just hit Command E, right? Pop it in. Pop it down a little bit. There you go. So now I have this, like, my pyramid has some sort of cavity in it. Something like that. It looks weird in 3 mode. Don't worry about that. Go back to 1 mode. So go a little nuts on the pyramid. Go crazy with the Multi-Cut, and then either go to vertex mode. Now you have a lot more vertexes to play with. Move a vertex around.
Wait, if you press the number 3, how do you go back?
1. 3 and 1. Good questions. Right. So 1 mode, 3 mode. I rarely use 2. 4 mode, 5 mode, 4, 5, 1, 3. Okay, let's do one last thing and then be done. And then we're going to move on to the TIE Fighter. Yay, Star Wars. You don't always have to do Star Wars stuff here, but you can. You can make your entire, every single project Star Wars based, if you want. Okay, we're going to move on from the pyramid. One thing I forgot to mention is you are going to use Extrud 90% of the time. You're going to use Edgeloop maybe 5% of the time, and multi-cut maybe 2% of the time. I realize those numbers don't add up. You'll probably be doing a few other things, but the biggest tool you're going to use, the biggest tool, it's a big tool, that Extrude tool, the most you're going to use is Extrude. Everything else kind of falls by the wayside. Edgeloop you use frequently, but not that frequently. Multi-cut you use in rare circumstances. Like when we get to the hand, when we're making our character, the only time we use multi-cut is when we have to do a few things with the hand. That's it, right? We use Edgeloop if we make a mistake or two or just to add a few little things. But the 90% of our work is extruding and then just modeling faces, edges, and vertices. Like, so the majority of our work is face, edge, vertex mode, move, scale, rotate, and then extrusions. That's basically it. These last two I showed you, Edgeloop and multi-cut, don't use that much, okay? It's worth giving you the awareness of them so that you know when to attack. All right, I used to not show beginner students these three other tricks, but I find that we're often we have problems, so I wanted to at least make you aware of these tools. So, like I said again, if you understand faces, edges, and vertex mode, and you understand extrude, you're there, right? If you're like, I don't really get multi-cut and edge loop or what I'm about to do, if you get really stuck with what I'm about to do, that's okay. You're still going to do well in this class. This is very more advanced stuff, but I want to introduce you to it. Okay. So that being said, let's make a cube, and let's go to options and make sure our cube is 3 by 3 by 3. So we're going to make another 3 by 3 by 3 cube. So go to Create. So those that weren't here, try this. Go to Create, go to Polygon, go to Cube, Options. And we just want to double check that it's 3 by 3 by 3. So I'm going to hit that Options. That Options is that box right here. Once again, Create, Polygon, Primitives, Cube, Options. And width, height, and depth, we can always change that with scale, right? That's just the scale of the model. So width divisions, height divisions, and depth divisions, we could change that with Edgeloop, right? Or multi-cut, but we can default it to this layer. So just make sure width, height, and depth divisions are 3, 3, 3. And that'll give us a cube with a tic-tac-toe grid on it. Let's zoom in here. Okay. Now, everyone do that, class? Everyone got a cube? Look to your neighbor. Does your neighbor have a cube? If your neighbor doesn't have a cube, show them how to make it. Create, Polygon, Cube, Options, height, width, depth divisions are all 3. Okay. Sometimes, class, you want one face to have lots of little faces. And sometimes you actually want to get rid of some edges or geometry. So let's go to edge mode. How do I get to edge mode? Right click and hold. Some people hit right click too fast. Right click and hold and go to edge mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of, we're going to simplify this geometry a little bit. So we're going to get rid of a set of lines, one ring of lines, actually 2 rings of lines. We're going to get rid of this ring of lines and this ring of lines. Who remembers that trick? What do I do to select a whole ring of edges? Not even shift. I think I just double click. Boom. If I'm in edge mode. If I'm in face mode, different story. So I'm going to go to edge mode. And I have that ring of line, right? Do me a favor. Hit delete. So go to edge mode. Right click, hold. Right click, hold. Get edge mode. Edge. No. Right click. Right click and hold it. Over here. There you go. Edge. There you go. Double click on an edge. No, not a corner. Those other ones. Double click it. There you go. And just press delete. Press delete. And we're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong. So, did you miss it? I'm going to do it again. Double click an edge ring here and press delete. On your keyboard, sorry. Press delete on your keyboard. And you might notice something if you start hovering around in edge mode. What's going on? Why isn't this one solid edge? Anyone want to take a guess? Yeah.
They weren't all one edge when they were created.
They weren't all edge when they were created. So I deleted an edge here, but there's something I didn't delete. Say it, yeah. I didn't delete the what? The vertices, or the vertexes. Vertices, I know. Vertex, vertices. The plural of it. So go to vertex mode, and you'll notice, man. Now I could click here, shift, double click. Oh, nope, it won't do that now because they're not connected. Haha, even more problematic. So what's our best friend? When we really mess up and we need to just go back in time, what do we press? Command Z. It's what I like to call the oh shit key. Oh shit, I messed up. Command Z. I'm recording myself swearing. I shouldn't do that. I'm being evaluated this year. All right. So I just Command Z back to where I selected those edges. So if you need to delete the edges and the geometry, the vertexes, so that'll become one solid line, the quickest way to do that is, again, go back to edge mode, right-click, edge mode, double-click on that ring, right? I can do both at the same time. Shift, double-click. I'll do one at a time to repeat. Repetition works. Repetition works. Repetition works. Repetition works. Repetition works. Repetition. Oh, my peanut gallery of my advanced students have heard all my jokes. All right. So I'm going to go here, double click an edge, and go to Edit Mesh. And I'm looking for delete edge / vertex. There's also a key. If I hit Command delete, it'll get rid of it as well. So either hit Command delete or hit delete edge vertexes and do it again. If I double click the next row over, the next row of edges, and hit Command delete, now, I've gotten rid of the vertexes as well. So it's something very important to note, because here's why I'm telling you this. You're going to come across a need, right? You're going to come across a need to get rid of some edges sometimes, and you're going to delete the edges and not the vertices. So I want to make you aware that you got to use delete edge vertex, or you have to hit Command delete to get rid of that. We all good? Okay. All right. So delete edge vertex. One thing that's cool. Now, you still should have two sides that are tic-tac-toe grid, yeah? Okay, go to one of the tic-tac-toe grid sides. Go to face mode. Face mode, click on the center face and press delete. Oh! You punched a hole in your box. Right? How do I fix that? And let's say you forgot to hit undo, right? You forgot about it, right? And you saved, and you went away, and you restarted the computer, and you came back the next day, so you lost your undo cache, right? So I need to repair this hole. I don't want a hole in my box. I want my box, okay? So if you have a simple hole like this, it's very easy. There's actually a feature called fill hole, right? So what I have to do is I have to go to edge mode, and you have to tell Maya this is the hole I want to fix. So I'm going to double click that edge, and it selects the whole ring, right? So once again, right click, hold, edge mode. I double click that edge, it gives me the whole ring. And then it's either under edit mesh, or I think it's under edit mesh, and it should be a fill hole. Actually, it's under mesh. Is it mesh? It's under mesh. Sorry. New menu place. So not edit mesh, but mesh. Fill hole. Boop. And it's fixed. You have to make sure your edges are selected. Otherwise, Maya's like, fill what hole? Right? It assumes you did everything intentionally. So you have to kind of select the edges by double-clicking them. I'll go back. I'll do it again one more time. Delete. Go to edge mode. Double-click. Get the whole circle. Mesh. Fill hole. Shaboom. All right. Now. Yeah.
What if your edit mesh is not fixed?
You're in FX mode somehow. Guaranteed the model. There you go. Mesh. Yeah. Once we get the hang of modeling, we switch groups. Okay. So that's one fix. The last fix. What if I had multiple faces missing? So let's delete the whole side. Go 1, either shift select, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a really big hole. Right? So delete all of one side. Don't do both. We'll have one for a reference. Okay? All right. And so now, maybe I hit undo. Yeah, you accidentally shift. Just shift and click on each one. If I click off of it. There you go. Now do it again. Yeah. There you go. All right. So now, what do we do? This trick shows a lot of different things we can do with Maya. Okay? So let's go to edge mode. Right click, edge. So again, we saved. We didn't notice this giant delete, this giant hollow box that we need to fix. So what we're actually going to do now is we're going to extrude edges. What? I thought we could only extrude faces. I didn't say that. Did I ever say that? No. I just showed you how to extrude faces. You can extrude edges. You can extrude vertexes if you really wanted to. Right? So grab 1, 2, 3 edges. Grab the top 3 edges. 1, 2, 3 edges. 1 edge, hold the shift key, 2 edge, 3 edge. You have 3 edges selected. And now we're going to extrude those. We're going to go to mesh tool. Sorry, we're going to go to edit mesh and choose extrude or command E. Either way. Boom. You'll notice I get that simple extrude tool, and now I can pull down. Woo! Check that out. Now we're going to need to extrude it 3 times. We could extrude it once, merge it, and then with a multi-cut tool. But we could also, for practice's sake, I'm going to pull it out a little bit just so you can see it, right? We're going to extrude it 2 more times. So command E. We're going to pull it down again. And 1 more. Command E. Pull it down 1 more time. So we made the tic-tac-toe grid again by extruding the edge. All right. If you're not with me, I'm going to just repeat it 1 more time. Undo, 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 undo. So what we do is, double checking, good. All right. So what we do is 1, 2, 3. I select those 3 edges. I hit command E. I'm going to pull it down once. I'm going to pull it out just so you can kind of see it. I'm going to 2 more times. Command E. Pull it out again. Command E. Pull it down again. If it's not perfectly lined up, I'm not worried about it. The tool that we're going to use to repair it is going to help us out with that. Okay? Now to seal off the box, to be done with the box, I'm going to go to vertex mode. Right click, hold, go to vertex mode. Oh, it's not going to fix it perfectly, but we'll live with it. And I want to seal these together. I want what's called watertight. So the other tool I'm going to use, I'm going to go back to my display. Just bear with me for a second so you can see them better. Polygon. I'm going to make my vertexes really big so you can see them. There you go. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fuse these vertexes together. And it's not going to fix it perfectly. I'm still going to have this part bulging out. You don't have to have your part laying as, I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, and this time I'm going to go to Target Weld, but I'm also going to look at the options. So everyone look at this. Mesh Tools, Target Weld, Options. And there's only 2 options there. Okay? So the option is, do I want to merge the vertex to the target, or do I want to merge it to the center? Center averages the distance, right? But I want it to be on target. And I just wanted to let you know there's 2 different types. So I can either average the distance, or I can go to target. Target means that the one I release on will work. So now I'm in merge mode. So I'm going to click on this vertex. It's going to get matched up with that vertex. I always want to make sure I click on this guy first. Click, drag it, and notice it makes like a little connect the dots. If I let go, boom, it's stitched back together. Right? So this is how you can connect vertices with other vertices. Call it stitching, right? Stitch, stitch, stitch. So notice I'm always clicking this one and releasing on this one. If I did it the other way, it would move this vertex to that one. This one over here, like that. Okay? So I always want to start with this guy and release it back. Boom. And some of you are like, Mr. G, I got a wonky, you made my box all wonky, right? If you extruded and pulled it straight down, it wouldn't be so wonky. But I could also just kind of grab these vertexes and push them in. I can kind of eyeball it and then push them down. There is a way to snap it with these magnets up here, but I feel like I've shown you enough. But I know Daniel wants to know those magnets. These are called the snapping tool. It'll snap to the grid or snap to the object, and that will make it perfect if I wanted to. We're going to learn about that with the TIE Fighter, so don't worry about it. I'm just kind of eyeballing it to be perfect. There you go. Okay. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. We'll do that with TIE Fighter. Okay. All right. So if you think you've got it, we're going to play blast it. Here's how you're going to play blast it. It's a challenge. Okay? What sets a keyframe, class? S, right? S sets a keyframe. So here's what I want you to do to play blast it. Put them all on one side. And we're going to have just a little fun with this play blast. I don't care what side. Just go back to object mode. And you have 7 objects. So here's how we're going to turn it in. All right? I want each object to pass in view for a second with no other objects passing through at that same time. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to do the first 2, and then I'm going to see if you can figure it out. So how many frames do I need? I have 7 objects. I have 24 frames. It's going to be about 164 frames. But if you wanted to round up to 175 and just kind of eyeball it. So remember, we got to make this project a little bigger. So down here, make it about 175, right? And I'm just going to take object number 1. We're going to just zoom in a little bit. And I don't care what order you do it in either, right? So I'm going to take first object. I press S. Scroll down about 24 frames. If you mess up and choose 25 or choose 22, just around a second, that's okay too. I'm going to take my object. I'm going to move it from right to left. Maybe I'm going to rotate it a little bit. There you go. And press S. Now, some of you are going to go back to frame 1 and choose the next object. Don't do that. You have to go to where this object's done moving and pick your next one. Don't forget to press S. Press S. Then again, go another 24 frames, so 48-ish. Slide it on through. If you want to rotate it just for funsies, go for it, and then press S. So, hurrah! So it's going to 1, 2, right? Do that for all your objects, right? Next one, repeat. Next one, repeat, right? Should I review how to play blast right now, or should I let you keyframe? We'll keyframe. Go for it. Thanks for answering. Right there. S, W. If you want to follow along, I'm doing it around 70, but you guys can figure it out. I'm actually going to make him move diagonally. What? And again, give him a little whirly. It's just kind of a review of keyframing. Do you remember how to keyframe? Reminding you that we're 24 frames. So 72 plus 24 is going to be 96, right? And again, if you weren't here, I'm recording everything. I'll be posting everything. And we'll be doing all these tools again for the TIE Fighter, which we're about to do. And that one of them looks rather plain, and that's fine. Right? We didn't really do anything to the box, that last box. So it looks something like, oh no. Does this guy have any keyframes? He did. I messed up. I missed one. Yeah. So it looks something like this. If you know how to play blast and turn something in, that's what you're going to call it. If you don't know how to play blast and turn something in, don't worry. I'll be showing you how to do that. I'm sorry. Thank you. Last year, everything was, if you can't tell, I use old stuff from last year to this year. So if you ever see 1 in front of it, it should be a 4 in front of it. You're right. So sorry. Good catch. 3 years ago, it used to be 5. I'm still finding material that says like 5 underscore. All right. If you forgot how to play blast, once you have all your keyframes, play blasting is going to be, hopefully you're starting to get the hang of, okay, play blast. I know how to play blast. I've done 3 play blasts already, right? So here's your 3rd or 4th play blast. So remember, play blast is over the play button. You're going to right click play blast options. And the trickiest part is that window is so small, it covers the browse. So you want to open it up. It should also have saved your settings, but if it didn't, you're going to want to choose H.264 under encoding. You're going to want to make sure you check on save to file, and you're going to hit browse. Just save it to your desktop for right now, and you're going to call it 4 underscore shape destroy underscore and then your last name. You're going to hit save. And I'm going to hit play blast. Boop. Zoom, 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 zoom. And then if you have made your alias, you can just double click on that alias and you're going to drag it into Anim Submit. Bam. Anim Submit. I'll put that back up there.